We come together for a moment out of time in a place made holy by our presence, to celebrate what is deepest and most true, to honor the beauty of our own heart's longing, to cultivate wonder, imagination, and the courage to act, and to care for one another. Please light your chalice. Our common chalice is now lit.
Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come. Come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of disbelieving, ours is no yet again of despair. Come yet again, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of disbelieving, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan, whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan, whoever is leaving, ours is no caravan, lover is leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come.
Welcome to this online spiritual community. Whether it's your first time here or whether you come here every single week, you are so welcome. We gather here to make meaning, to explore ideas, to companion each other on life's journey, which, as we know, can be difficult, can be joyful. This month of March, we're exploring the theme of evil, a topic Unitarian Universalists don't really like to talk that much about. And so as we do, we will have a variety of perspectives, and we know that you will too. That's what makes it joyful to be together, to learn from one another. And so as we explore this topic and others, come, let us worship together.
Let us now pause for a moment of deepening together as a community, for we each carry within us joys that are too great for one heart to hold, sorrows that are too much for one heart to endure, local and world events which call upon us to bear witness. Let us begin by recalling the joys, whatever you may be celebrating or whatever evokes a feeling of happiness or peace for you or for others. Now let us recall our concerns and sorrows, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. In the heart of love and in the spirit of prayer, we give thanks for this time together, where joys can be magnified and sorrows can be lessened. Blessed be.
I invite you now to a time of prayer and reflection. Close your eyes if that feels good for you, or soften your gaze. I invite you to close any other tabs you might have open, to relax your body, to stop thinking, to stop doing, to simply allow a time to be, to receive the gift of yourself. I invite you to experience that gift of the breath, which is always there, but which we forget about. And to look for the horizon of your own heart's longing. The world isn't as we wish it would be, and yet it's important that we continue to see the way that we wish it could be and the way that we can imagine it can be, that we engage our imagination towards love and justice, that we get specific in our imagining, that we believe in it. And so I invite you to a time where you see the horizon of your own heart. What do you long for? Here in this quiet, you can simply hold that without fear of judgment or ridicule or anyone saying it could never happen. Just hold it, because it is part of you. That longing, that vision, what you see and what you know, what you hold. That's all part of us. As we explore this theme of evil, it's especially important that we hold in our hearts love for what is not evil, love for the vision of what could be. We hold it all. We hold it in our heart, we hold it in our mind. And as we do, we may whisper the names of those people who we hold dear in our hearts, or we may want to type them, just to lift them up in our prayer, to hold them in our hearts and say to them, yes, the world may tell you otherwise, but I know that you are beautiful. I know that we are all beautiful. As we bask in this beauty, in this love that is real, no matter what, no matter where, we can conjure it, we can imagine it, we can create it. May we all be held in the heart of love. May we all be held in the heart of love.
One of my favorite songs is Peter Mayer's Holy Now. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. But now I have to hold my breath, 'cause I'm swimming in a sea of it. That's been my experience of Unitarian Universalism. The first time I walked into a sanctuary, I felt like I'd come home. And not just parts of me, but all of me, all my experience, good or bad, my failures and my successes, all of it was welcomed. It was all sacred. Everything was holy. As someone who has struggled with addiction, this was vitally important to me. I needed to know that my community accepted me. I wanted to be loved, even though I was, like many of us, a deeply flawed human. And not in spite of, but because I struggled. Because we all struggle. That's part of what makes us human. This month, we are talking about evil. And I can tell you, for me, this one is complicated. I was raised Catholic, and I was raised to believe that the devil exists. You might even say the devil drove me to drink. Some of the reasons that I developed such a powerful addiction when I was a teenager was because of the ways I feared that I was evil. Everything from the books and music I loved to my sexuality, my very identity. These were considered bad and wrong. And no matter how hard I tried, and I did try, I couldn't change who I was or who and what I loved to fit someone else's ideas about who I should be. In Unitarian Universalism, we don't believe in the devil, and we don't see people as evil, but we do acknowledge that there is evil in the world. And the first one that comes to my mind is racism, one of the world's greatest evils. The French poet Charles Baudelaire once famously wrote, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist." The insidiousness of racism, its ability to delude people, to morph and change and to mask itself, to convince people that it doesn't actually exist. This is one of the reasons, for me, that it qualifies as truly evil. And as a white woman, I admit that I was raised in that sea of white supremacy, where whiteness was normal and everything else was abnormal. This means I perpetuate racism, and it makes me a racist. So here I am, walking into this Unitarian Universalist community saying everything is holy. Everything about me is holy. Everything is welcome, even the ways in which I fail. But if I scratch at that a little bit, there are things about me that are unacceptable. Perpetuating racism is totally unacceptable. Perpetuating evil is unacceptable. How can everything be sacred when there is so much evil in the world? And how can all of me be sacred when I do evil things? And I'm working with the assumption that it isn't my intentions I'm talking about, it is the impact of my actions. The impact of some of my actions is oppression of others in a system that rewards me for doing this. And I'm on the spectrum of sort of benignly colluding with this system to outright supporting it through ignorance and negligence. How am I still holy? My friend and colleague, Sarah Smalley, says that one of the great gifts of universalism is that not only are all of us saved, but all of me is saved, even the evil parts. I am saved from damnation, saved from being cast out of the circle. But that doesn't mean I won't be held accountable. That doesn't mean I won't be expected to atone and to continually make it right in order to stay in covenant. But what does this mean in a world that isn't in covenant and doesn't want to be, where there is unrepentant evil, and not just accidental or benign or negligent, but evil that thinks it's doing right, evil that functions like authoritarianism for your own good? Well, I think evil exists in the world. It does, and it is up to us to make it holy, to give it meaning, to let it inspire us to a higher purpose. We have to be like Buddhists are with the practice of Tonglen. It's a meditation where you inhale the evil and exhale the good. You literally welcome all the brokenness of the world and you transform it. This is how we make everything holy. In the same way that we make meaning from our experiences and use our mistakes and failures to inspire us to do better, We look at the evil of world, at authoritarianism and racism, and we see it for what it is. We don't let the devil convince us he doesn't exist. And we use that to inspire us to make change. Evil is holy when we can look at it unflinchingly and change. And as evil rises up in ourselves or in the world, as it appears, we say, there it is. We call it out and we change. This is our larger covenant. This is what makes us universalist. The world is redeemable, just like we are. And it is up to us to continually assert this and make it so. May the pain of the world and the pain inside of yourself call you into action today. And may everything be holy now.
So the folks at the Western Center, I'm gonna really quickly look at it so that I can say it right. The Western States Center in Oregon, they put together a really terrific handbook called Dismantling Racism, a resource book. It is available online as a PDF. You can just download it. But I always encourage people to go to the website and leave a tip, like just make a donation. Thank you for this book. This was really helpful because it's really important to recognize the folks who have done this work. So when I encountered this work a while ago, I was like, wow, this is really, really right on. And they are looking at how you shift an organization through different stages of awareness and capacity around anti-racism. And they have, right around the middle of the book, this grid where they take they take characteristics and highlight how different organizations behave on the journey. And so on the left side, I guess it would be the left, anyway. On the left side, there's the status quo congregation, and then in the middle, there's the multiculturally aware congregation, and then on the right, there's the anti-racist congregation. So I took that framework and I married it to some really amazing work that Reverend Ashley Horan had done in her capacity as executive director of Moose Jaw. And she created this rubric of what it looks like when congregations are really hitting the mark with anti-racism work. And I wanted to create a space where we could see where are we on the journey. So I kind of took the Dismantling Racism framework and brought it just to congregational behavior. But basically, I think that we need to look at our practices and our institutional policies and procedures around all different parts of our church work. So our worship, our welcoming, our religious education, our pastoral care, our finances, our leadership, our board work, all of these different areas have white supremacy culture embedded in it. And we need to untangle it. And I would say that some of our congregations are status quo congregations. They are clubs. They don't really care about this kind of work. They're not invested in it. Most of our congregations are multiculturally aware congregations. So they get that it's important to be inclusive, that it's important to recognize different people and bring them in. But they don't have an anti-racist frame. They don't understand that you actually have to dismantle the systems of power that keep whiteness in place as a way of being. And that, I think, that's what I'm very interested in helping congregations do. Find the place where they can make those leaps. So it's about how we operate. It's not about good people earning their badges and showing that they are that they are good and worthy, and that they are allies, or for people of color to have this be like an ego trip, like a place where they can finally have some power and do things the way that they think it should be done, but without looking at the systems. I think that the institutional work is looking at the systems that we're doing. So I'm happy to share the rubric that I created. This was part of my thesis work when I graduated from Meadville. The rubric is available in the second of the white supremacy teach-in materials. I'm going to update it because some people have already started helping me realize that the whole piece on welcoming and membership is missing. So we need a new category. So I hope to keep this document alive, and I am always interested in thought partners around this work. So please contact me if you want to.
So one of the projects I think I could speak to, I don't think it's well, I'm going to say it. So I've been working with a group led by Paula Call-Jones about creating an assessment tool for religious educators. Anybody can use it, but it's still in the infancy stage. But it's been super exciting to really think about because we can't change what we don't recognize is an issue. So and nothing happened. If I hear one more time, things are going to happen organically. No, they won't. What'll happen is the status quo remains organically. So unless we're intentional, we can't really look at exactly what you pointed to. What are the different elements of the system? And out of fear, folks go right to revert back to patriarchy. Our default is what we've always known, hence the current administration, right?
Yep.
And to me, one of the crucial things is how we do leadership. Who is empowered? Who is encouraged to be empowered in a congregation? And I would like to think that we are capable of collaborative leadership in terms of authority and working together in a congregation. And there's been so much interesting pushback to that, and from everybody, from mostly white people, and interestingly, our colleagues of color who did go through all the hoops that were put there, and basically say, listen, I did what it took to get here. Don't try to change things now. And so that's been fascinating to me, how internalized oppression has been playing out. And I agree with you. I'm hopeful, because I think, good or bad, people are talking about white supremacy. So that's huge for us, huge. Whether or not it's huge. And so, yay. And as difficult as it is, and there has been some serious ramifications for me, for Christina, for Kenny. I mean, this hasn't been without risk. And it may not be in vain if this faith genuinely chooses to become relevant and move forward to fulfill the potential that I think we have. So I remain optimistic, and it has not been without some serious ramifications and pain.
Yeah, that's important to know.
Yeah, I'll co-sign what Aisha has lifted up is that I too am incredibly, what the white supremacy teaching taught me is that our congregations have a deep hunger for this, that there is, over, what did we end up with, Aisha? Over 600, 800, I can't even remember the number now, congregations who participated. And to me, that says, in whatever way, shape, or form they participated in, and I'm sure that there, we heard back that there's problematic participation and really great participation and participation that was just, kind of performative. But what it said to me that they were signing up, that they're going to the website, that they're using the materials, what it said to me is that there is that recognition of, we have to do something, right? So going from that middle place that you're talking about of just being kind of liminally aware that we need change, to that place, trying to shift people to that place of, no, you're actually going to have to do something, and that do something that you do is going to hurt, and it's not going to feel good right at the very start, maybe not even at the middle, but at the end we're going to feel really good. But really, it's that thought that we deserve the comfort, and that we deserve to stay in the comfort.
Yeah.
So I absolutely love the idea that you've said of, trying to shift institutions from that middle to a different side of needing to work, and needing to do some work that isn't comfortable, that that holds us in a really difficult place for a while.
And if we can train our people to recognize the discomfort and immediately switch to celebrating. Oh, I'm uncomfortable. Yes. Okay. It's happening. Something's changing. I hate this. I'm going to stick with it, And I see our youth as really our leaders in that. Like they get that like this. I mean, like you present the idea to them and they go there, right? So I think we can. I hope we can. Yeah.
When I was a boy, each week on Sunday we would go to church and pay attention to the priest. He would read the holy word and consecrate the holy bread, and everyone would kneel and bow. Today the only difference is everything is holy now. Everything is holy now. And when I was in Sunday school, we would learn about the time Moses split the sea in two, and Jesus made the water wine. And I remember feeling sad, miracles don't happen still. But now I can't keep track, 'cause everything's a miracle. Everything's a miracle. Wine from water is not so small, better magic trick is that anything is here at all. So the challenging thing becomes not to look for miracles, but finding where there isn't one. When holy water was rare at best, it barely wet my fingertips. Now I have to hold my breath like I'm swimming in a sea of it. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now. Child's face, say it's not a testament, that'd be very hard to say. See another new morning come, say it's not a sacrament, I tell you that it can't be done. This morning outside I stood, I saw a little red-winged bird shining like a burning bush and singing like a scripture verse. It made me want to bow my head. I remember when church let out, how things have changed since then. Everything is holy now. It used to be a world half there, heaven's second-rate hand-me-down, but I walk it with a reverent air, 'cause everything is holy now.
And now we come to that time in our service when we extinguish the flames that we've lit for this special time set apart. But never do we extinguish the flame that burns eternal, the flame of love, the flame of our commitment to a just and caring world. If you carry that flame, please touch your heart and say to yourself, I carry the flame, and allow that flame to burn bright.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine.
Three.